Look up at the sky above some of the world's greatest cities, and instead of blue, you see gray. A suffocating haze of smog, chemicals, and toxic particles hanging over millions of lives. Rapid urbanization, unchecked industrial growth, relentless traffic congestion, and collapsing waste management systems have pushed countless cities to the absolute edge of environmental catastrophe. Today, we are counting down the top 10 dirtiest cities in the world, ranked by air pollution levels, water contamination, waste management failures, and critical environmental health data gathered from leading global organizations. These are not just statistics on a screen, these are real places, real communities, and real human beings facing a crisis that grows more dangerous with every passing year. So whether you are watching from a clean suburb or a smog-choked street, this countdown will challenge everything you think you know about urban pollution. Stay with us because what comes next might genuinely shock you. And this is only number 10. As one of Southeast Asia's most densely populated cities, Jakarta carries an enormous environmental burden that its infrastructure simply cannot keep up with. The air here is thick with pollution, driven by millions of vehicles crawling through gridlock streets, coal-fired power plants operating at full capacity, and rapid industrial expansion pushing deep into surrounding regions. Jakarta consistently ranks among Asia's most polluted cities, and for the people living here, that is not just a statistic. Respiratory illnesses are widespread, affecting residents across every neighborhood. But air pollution is only part of the story. Jakarta also battles a waste management crisis that leaves garbage piling up across the city. Clogged drainage systems turn seasonal rains into devastating floods, disrupting millions of lives and causing widespread damage year after year. For Jakarta's residents, these are not occasional inconveniences, they are daily realities. Coming in at number 9 is Mexico City, Mexico. This sprawling metropolis sits in a high-altitude valley surrounded by mountains, and that geography creates a serious problem. The natural bowl shape traps pollutants, preventing them from dispersing into the wider atmosphere. Vehicle exhaust from millions of cars floods the air daily, mixing with heavy industrial emissions to form a thick, suffocating layer of smog that blankets the city for days at a time. Looking toward the mountains from the city center, the hazy backdrop tells the whole story. Residents here are no strangers to government-issued pollution alerts, sudden school closures, and urgent health advisories warning vulnerable populations to stay indoors. Mexico City has actually introduced significant environmental reforms over the decades, including vehicle restrictions and cleaner fuel standards. Yet despite these efforts, dangerous air quality levels persist, continuing to affect millions of ordinary people every single day without relief. Coming in at number 8 is Cairo, Egypt, one of Africa's largest and most historically rich cities, but also one of its most environmentally burdened. Cairo faces a truly unique combination of pollution sources that set it apart from other cities on this list. Vehicle emissions from millions of aging cars, open burning of agricultural waste in surrounding farmlands, heavy industrial activity, and relentless desert dust all converge over the city simultaneously. Each autumn, this deadly mixture produces a seasonal phenomenon locals call the Black Cloud, a dangerously thick blanket of smog that settles over Cairo for weeks at a time. Crowded streets become nearly unbearable to navigate, burning fields on the city's outskirts send thick smoke drifting inward, and the waterways along the Nile carry visible signs of contamination. Making matters worse, Cairo's waste management infrastructure simply cannot keep pace with its massive and rapidly growing population, leaving entire neighborhoods buried under mountains of uncollected garbage year after year. Coming in at number 7 is Beijing, China. Now, it is worth acknowledging that Beijing has actually made remarkable strides in tackling its pollution crisis. Through strict government policies, factory regulations, and vehicle restrictions, the city has visibly improved its air quality over recent years. But despite that progress, Beijing still firmly holds its place among the world's most polluted major cities. Coal burning remains a dominant energy source, vehicle emissions continue flooding the atmosphere, and surrounding industrial zones pump hazardous particles into the air daily. On the worst pollution days, the city's iconic landmarks, the Forbidden City, Tiananmen Square, virtually disappear behind walls of thick gray smog. Visibility drops to near zero, outdoor activities are strongly discouraged, and millions of residents step outside wearing face masks as a basic necessity. Beijing's story is ultimately a cautionary tale, a powerful reminder of the steep environmental price that comes with decades of rapid industrial development and unchecked urban expansion. Coming in at number 6 is Lagos, Nigeria, one of Africa's fastest growing megacities and a city where explosive population growth has dramatically outpaced its environmental infrastructure. With over 20 million residents and counting, Lagos faces an overwhelming pollution crisis on multiple fronts. Open dump sites scattered across the city overflow with uncollected waste, while unregulated industrial discharge pumps toxic chemicals directly into surrounding waterways. Dense traffic gridlock stretching for kilometers across the city daily pumps dangerous levels of exhaust fumes into already compromised air. The consequences for ordinary residents are severe. Many Lagos communities lack reliable access to clean drinking water, forcing families to rely on contaminated sources. Informal settlements sit dangerously close to industrial zones, exposing residents to toxic waste around the clock. For children and the elderly, the health implications are deeply alarming. Respiratory illnesses, waterborne diseases, and long-term toxic exposure are becoming increasingly common. Lagos represents a city of extraordinary energy and ambition, yet its environmental challenges demand urgent and immediate attention. Coming in at number 5 is Dhaka, Bangladesh, one of the most densely populated cities on the entire planet. With millions of people packed into a relatively small urban area, Dhaka's pollution crisis is nothing short of overwhelming. The city's garment industry, which supplies clothing to major global brands, generates enormous amounts of toxic chemical waste that flows directly into surrounding waterways. Brick kilns operating on the city's outskirts pump thick black smoke into the air around the clock, while millions of vehicles add to the already suffocating emissions. What makes Dhaka's situation particularly heartbreaking is the fate of its rivers. The Buriganga and other waterways that once sustained generations of Bangladeshi life are now so heavily contaminated with industrial dye and chemical discharge that the water runs in unnatural colors. Residents living alongside these rivers face daily exposure to toxins, and the long-term health consequences for Dhaka's rapidly growing population remain deeply alarming and largely unaddressed. That continues to claim lives every year. But behind the bustling commerce lies a deeply troubling environmental reality. Unchecked industrial growth, crumbling sanitation infrastructure, and catastrophic failures in solid waste management have pushed this coastal megacity into a full-blown environmental crisis. Every single day, Karachi generates thousands of tons of waste, and the overwhelming majority of it ends up in open dumps scattered across the city or is simply burned in the open air, releasing toxic fumes directly into neighborhoods where millions of people live and breathe. Industrial smokestacks pump pollutants into the sky while garbage overflows onto streets and into waterways that drain toward the Arabian Sea, contaminating once vibrant coastal areas. Air quality across large parts of the city regularly climbs to hazardous levels. Perhaps most devastating of all, waterborne diseases caused by severely contaminated water sources remain a persistent and deadly public health emergency. Coming in at number 3 is Ulaanbaatar, Mongolia, a city that endures one of the most extreme pollution crises on the planet, driven not by industry alone, but by the desperate need for survival. Ulaanbaatar is one of the coldest capital cities in the world, with winter temperatures plunging to minus 40 degrees Celsius. To survive these brutal conditions, hundreds of thousands of residents living in traditional Jir districts burn coal and raw wood around the clock, releasing massive amounts of toxic smoke directly into the surrounding air. During winter months, the city becomes completely blanketed in thick white and gray smog, trapping pollutants at ground level where people breathe, work, and children play outside. Pollution levels recorded here have far exceeded World Health Organization's safety limits by staggering margins, making Ulaanbaatar's winter air quality some of the worst ever documented anywhere on Earth. Severe respiratory illness has become devastatingly common across the entire population. It means survival under a toxic sky. A city that has repeatedly shocked the world by topping global air quality indexes, frequently surpassing even Delhi in recorded pollution levels. That is not a small achievement, and unfortunately, it is not one worth celebrating. Every winter, a suffocating smog descends over Lahore like a toxic blanket. The causes are deeply layered. Farmers in surrounding agricultural regions burn their crop stubble after harvest, sending massive plumes of smoke drifting directly into the city. Add to that the relentless vehicle emissions from millions of poorly maintained cars and rickshaws. And at number 1, we arrive at Delhi, India, the world's most polluted major city, according to multiple global environmental reports. Delhi's crisis is the result of a devastating combination of factors working simultaneously against its residents. Millions of vehicles choke its roads daily. Industrial emissions pour into the atmosphere. Construction dust blankets entire neighborhoods, and crop stubble burning from neighboring states sends massive waves of toxic smoke directly into the city. Seasonal weather patterns then act like a lid, trapping this poisonous mixture in a thick, suffocating blanket over the entire metropolitan area. Iconic landmarks like the Red Fort and India Gate disappear entirely behind walls of gray smog. Residents wear masks simply to step outside. Rivers running through the city are choked with industrial and domestic waste. Delhi's air quality regularly reaches levels officially classified as a public health emergency, Millions of people here breathe dangerously harmful air not occasionally, not seasonally, but every single day of the year. They are fundamental human rights that every person on this planet, regardless of where they were born, is absolutely entitled to. These numbers represent real people, real families, and real communities whose lives are shaped daily by the air they breathe and the water they drink. Picture a child walking to school through thick morning smog, an elderly grandmother struggling to take a full breath, or a hospital ward overwhelmed with patients suffering from pollution-related illnesses. These are not abstract consequences, they are lived realities for hundreds of millions of people across these cities. Yet these cities are not defined by their pollution alone. They are home to resilient, vibrant communities filled with culture, history, and humanity. The people living within these struggling urban environments deserve better. Clean air, clean water, and a healthy environment are not privileges reserved for wealthier nations. These cities are actively crafting environmental policies, channeling investment into clean energy, and pursuing sustainable urban development strategies designed to undo decades of accumulated environmental damage and build healthier futures for their residents. Animated global maps reveal alarming hotspots stretching across Asia, Africa, and Latin America, painting a sobering picture of just how widespread environmental neglect has become across our planet. Climate change, rapid population growth, and accelerating industrialization are intensifying environmental degradation at a pace that demands urgent global attention and coordinated international response. No country, no city, and no community remains truly immune from these consequences. Yet, amid these deeply troubling realities, there are genuine reasons for cautious optimism. Many of the cities featured in this countdown are not standing still. Jakarta is expanding green transit networks. Beijing has dramatically cut coal consumption. Delhi is investing in cleaner fuel standards. The cities we build, neglect, or restore directly reflect who we are and what we value as a global community. From Delhi to Jakarta, the cities we explored share a common thread of environmental strain driven by human decisions. But decisions can change. The contrast between polluted skylines and thriving green urban spaces reminds us that transformation is possible. We have seen it happen. Cities once drowning in smog have reclaimed cleaner air through bold policy, innovation, and collective will. Awareness is the first step. When people understand the scale of the crisis, they demand better. Governments respond, industries adapt, technologies emerge. Every individual choice, every vote cast, every initiative supported sends a signal that clean cities matter. The health of our urban environments is not simply an environmental issue. It is a human rights issue. They are rights worth fighting for. Which city on this list surprised you the most? Drop your answer in the comments section below and let us know your thoughts. Maybe you have visited one of these cities, or perhaps you believe another city deserves a spot on this list. Share your suggestions and start the conversation. If this video opened your eyes to the scale of the global pollution crisis, please give it a thumbs up and share it with someone who needs to see it. Every view helps spread awareness, and awareness is where change begins. Do not forget to subscribe to our channel for more educational content covering the most pressing issues shaping our world today. Thank you for watching, and remember, the air we breathe and the water we drink are not privileges.